You got it. So we're starting a new verse in that 16th chapter, and it's verse 13 and 14 actually as well there. And it says, and just reading from the King James Version, we'll read Brother Thomas's translation a little later. The King James says, "And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty." So we're starting a new part of the of this Act 6 and 6th vial, the new section of the 6th vial, and it has to do with the unclean spirits. They were kind of an influence that was formed, or a policy that was formed during the French Revolution, a policy of liberty, equality, fraternity, kind of the basis upon which our modern democracies are formed, and that came out of the French Revolution. But what you saw here wasn't the French policies, but it was policies like them, spirits like frogs. So we'll go and just take a little bit out of the expositor on this verse 13 here first. Kind of lay the groundwork, I guess. And in the expositor, he says, in Eureka Volume 3, Brother Thomas shows that 3 frogs constituted the heraldic symbol of the French people, in contrast to the 3 lilies, which was a heraldic symbol of the Bourbon rulers of France. Hermann, who reigned in Triv in 420, adopted the symbol of 3 frogs on his shield. Geraldic, king of the Franks, who reigned in 456, struck a medal displaying the frog as his symbol. The banner of Clovis, son of Geraldic, he was the son of Geraldic, and first Christian king of France, and this is going back to the years 466 to 511, displayed the symbol of 3 frogs as representing the army of France. So just kind of laying here where, why frogs? Why that symbol to be used here? Having no trouble finding it there, Beatrice?
Yes, I lost my marker again.
Oh, okay. I don't want to get that set up. Whatever.
You mentioned that it's 3 frog-like spirits.
Mm-hmm. Spirits like frogs.
So they weren't the actual, or is that the actual liberty, equality, fraternity?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it wasn't France. It originated in France, but it wasn't the French doctrine per se. It was as it was manifested in different areas and countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're seeing that in the training.
Yeah.
That's in the third.
Right.
None of these page numbers work for that.
Oh, this is the old one.
Yeah, it was one angel with all grace, praise. What chapter are we on?
You're in chapter 16.
Oh.
Past the 7th or 3rd woe. Past the 7th, top of the 3rd woe. Then you're going down. In part 1, we're done.
Hang on. Chapter 17 to 627, so
We're still in chapter 16.
You gotta find something.
her index
Is missing.
oh, maybe it's here. No. Okay, so I don't know, just kind of doing a little sketching here. Oh, here's a.
Use the markers.
There we go.
Yeah, I know I had a marker somewhere.
Good. Okay. Okay, so we'll just go back here then, and what we're reading here was it's not out of Eureka, but it's the expositor that's commenting on this, and it's talking about where these frogs came from. The symbol of frogs. You know, why would that be used here? And you know, so what he's talking about here is going back to the time in, you know, around the 4th centuries, and the king of the Franks used that on their banners, the frogs. They displayed the symbol of 3 frogs, as we got down here, as representing the army of France. And they're still on there in the tapestry of the cathedral in Reims. And he says that as the Franks originated from the marshy lands of Westphalia, the symbol of frogs is appropriate to the origin of the people. It came out of the marshes, and that would be abundant with frogs. It is used as a common term to identify the French, even in modern times. The frogs, therefore, represent the people of France in contrast to its one-time rulers. Their voices were heard for the first time in the noisy agitation of revolutionary principles with their demands for liberty, equality, fraternity. And now, then, however, and this is an important however, John did not see 3 frogs, but spirits like frogs. The term spirit is used for teaching or doctrine, and he takes us to 1 John 4, verses 1 to 3. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, or the influences, the doctrines, the policies, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the doctrine or policy or program of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit or doctrine that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that doctrine of Antichrist whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world. So it's a reference there to influences or doctrines or policies or manifestos, whatever it might be that come from a source. So says the term spirit is used for teaching or doctrine. The French Revolution developed a doctrine or a teaching peculiar to it in the communistic principles that swept Europe as a result. In 1848, these were considered consolidated by Karl Marx in his manifesto of the Communist Party, which has since so drastically changed the pattern of world politics. Now, he's going to talk a little bit here about communism, and we know that that was very much the order of the day when the expositor was written and printed. It's not so much anymore. However, those principles remain in place, even in our democracies of Canada and the U.S. and all the countries of Europe. Communism is just taking it to the next step and making it even more so. If in the pure application of communism is very much like what the early disciples were. They sold everything, shared everything, had everything in common. And that would be the true application of this liberty, equality, fraternity. It was abused and became more of a dictatorship than communism, but that's why it failed. Anyway, got off the subject a little bit there, but he says the frog is noted for its rough, harsh, coarse voice, for its habitat in mud, for its endurance of all the vagaries or changes of weather, cold and heat, rain and frost, for its ability to swell its size and distend its cheeks as if in pride, and because its harsh croaking is a harbinger of spring, and because its harsh croaking is a harbinger of spring. In the symbol before us, all this has application. The rough, harsh, coarse voice of loquacious agitators, filling the air with their croaking, their delight in mudraking, their persistence, their false pride and self-importance, whilst as harbinger of spring, the very agitation that is evidenced throughout the earth, disturbing, deluding, and seducing the minds of men. The trouble that communism is inciting among the nations, predicted by the Lord, is for those watching the signs of the times and harbinger of the imminence of Christ's return and the resurrection, the springtime of human affairs. And the quote from Luke 21:26 says, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. The powers of heaven, they're referring to the heavens of the firmament of the governments. Going on then, the history of the 19th and 20th centuries has shown France to be a storm center, the direct or indirect cause of most of the wars and revolutions which have happened since the closing years of the 18th century. The revolutions of 1789, 1830, and 1848. The wars of Napoleon I, the intrigues and diplomatic wars of Napoleon III, and later colonial enterprises and their resulting crises are the result of the influences of the frog-like spirits. That's a quote from Apocalypse and History. The instability of the French government, together with its diplomatic intrigues during the 20th century, has contributed largely to the two world wars that have taken place, as well as to the international dissension that has plagued Europe since and continues to do so to this very day. We see it happening today in Ukraine, and with Russia, and with all the powers that are gathering around that. And it's just they just want to be free to administer their affairs, not be under dictatorship. So this came out of the mouth of the dragon, one of them, there's three of them. He says, going back there, I saw three unclean spirits like frogs, and come out of the mouth of the dragon. It was out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. But this one is taking this one first. Come out of the mouth of the dragon. A mouth is apocalyptically a symbol of government through which the executive gives expression to its policy. The dragon is a symbol of the military or Eastern Roman Empire with its headquarters at Constantinople. And it takes us back to chapter 13, verse 4, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. They worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with it? Remember, going back to that time, the beast, or the papacy, the state church didn't have much power of its own, but the power was given to it by Constantinople, by the emperor in Constantinople. And that was the dragon. Okay, so that was, and it goes on then, in 1453, this city, Constantinople, fell to the Ottomans, since when it has formed an important section of the Turkish Empire. For the past 120 years, Russia has shown a keen interest in the destiny of Constantinople, for it is so strategically placed as to hold the key to the Bosphorus and the entrance to the Mediterranean. Bible prophecy not only shows that the Euphratean power is to be dried up, has been, but also that Russia will occupy Constantinople, at which time the communistic spirit will emanate as never before to play a part in agitating the nations. So even though it's not really communism as such anymore, there is still that communistic spirit that prevails throughout Europe and throughout the whole region. And as far as Russia occupying Constantinople, he quotes here from Daniel 8:23 to 25. Tell me.
It's a communistic country as opposed to Russia as it is now, because they still have the dictator. They still don't have the freedom to. They call it an election, but they really only have one person on
Well, that's kind of why I say that it's not kind of got rid of communism as such, but it's still the spirit of communism is still there.
Right, because it's really not. Freedom to do. Not even really freedom of religion.
The Soviet Union is, I guess is what we generally think of when we talk, think of communism now. And that did dissolve.
Yeah, that did.
So.
But what took its place doesn't seem much different.
Yeah. That's important.
Well, I think what happened is when communism, the idea came out, it was communal, and it's been so corrupted that it's come to mean a dictatorship to us, and that's not true communism. And that's when you think about the U.S. I mean, they fought against communism, but their nation is founded on communism.
On those principles.
Yes. Liberty, equality, fraternity, which they stand up for. They just don't like the economics of the dictatorship, and they want free enterprise in business, which communism of the Russian and Chinese style, well, China's changing, but the Russian Soviet Union style was domination, was not freedom in economic terms. I mean, they try to keep everybody equally poor.
The problem with communism as administered by human beings is that it is with the leadership. You cannot appoint a leadership that can administer the principles of communism effectively and fairly.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
What's going on though, within Russia and Ukraine is just you might say one we're getting a glimpse of because they're in the news, but there's still the people are fermenting, just like Georgia and those other states who wanted to rebel against being ruled, and that's what the true frog-like spirit is.
It's the Arab Spring effect in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. He's talking about Constantinople. Well, Crimea is just across the lake from there, or the sea or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's right in there.
It's right in there. Yeah,
really underscores the enormous and pure wisdom of the Israelite system under the law of Moses, because that was not communism as man would have it. It was, you might say, a modified communism, even though probably man's communism is a modification of it, really. But when you think about it, there was sort of a mini capitalism that existed within it. That people who worked hard and managed well were able to get ahead for a time, but then that 70-year thing brought everything back and leveled the playing field again.
Yeah.
And so it was really the best of both systems, as in particularly economically speaking, and of course it had, as long as they followed God's rules, it had administration that was able to make it work.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll just go back here to the narrative. He talks about Russia will occupy Constantinople, and he quotes from Daniel 8:23 to 25 on that. And he talks about the rough go as the king of Greece with a great horn that is between his eyes as the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, talks about the one of the horns. The four kingdoms that shall stand up out of that nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And he's relating that, of course, to in the prophecy that would refer to the king of the north. He would be coming down, and that would be the access to that. And also in Daniel 11 and 40. At the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots and with horsemen, and many ships shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. And so the assumption on that is that in order to do that, they would need to go through and occupy Constantinople and the Bosphorus. Would be the gateway of that, at which time, says, the communistic spirit will emanate as never before to play a part in agitating the nations and drawing them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. And then he says, and out of the mouth of the beast there are two beasts referred to in the Apocalypse, the beast of the sea and the beast of the earth. And the latter beast is referred to in this chapter. So the beast of the sea was from the first verse. It stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. That's from Revelation 13 and 1. That's the first beast. And then again in verse 11 of that same chapter, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. He had two horns like a lamb. He spake as a dragon. The one was the Roman Church, the Catholicism, the Roman Empire under Constantine, and the other one was the Holy Roman Empire. And he says this latter beast, the Holy Roman Empire, is referred to in this chapter in verse 10, and we saw that the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast. That was Napoleon's campaign into Rome, and relating it to the Holy Roman Empire and the Germanic Federation. The headquarters of this was located in Vienna, but with the fall of the empire, the center of the Germanic influence shifted to Berlin. In any case, the symbol points to Central Europe, which is today dominated by Soviet Russia and its communistic principles. We can expect the frog-like spirit of communism to emerge from this center, that is from Berlin, the Germanic influences, even more virulently in the future to agitate the minds of men and nations, as indicated in the prophecy. And the final one, the third one, is out of the mouth of the false prophet. A prophet is one who speaks to edification, exhortation, and comfort, and not merely one who predicts events ahead. And 1 Corinthians 14, verse 3, he that prophesieth speaketh unto men to edification and exhortation and comfort. Prophesying, another way of interpreting or translating the word that is translated here as prophesy, is to speak forth. Speak forth. Okay, so therefore a false prophet is one who proclaims error. 2 Peter 2 verse 1, there were false prophets also among the people, as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, bring upon themselves swift destruction. The false prophet of the verse before us is the Pope, with his headquarters at Rome. It is significant that the Communist Party in Italy can boast of more members than that of any other country outside of Russia. The unclean spirit of the frogs is frequently heard croaking from that center, playing its part in agitating the nations. It will be the policy of Gog to cause craft or priestcraft to prosper, so that some alliance between Catholicism and communism can be expected. He goes to Daniel 8:25 for that, and through his policy or his spirit, that's what we're talking about, the spirit, like a policy. Also, he shall cause the craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince of princes. He shall be broken without hand. So, such a union will probably be hailed as an evidence of peace and security, but it will be followed by sudden destruction. Thus, through peace he shall destroy many. The recent Russian policy of détente illustrates what this statement predicts.
So, you know, this outlook that he's giving is kind of dated.
Yes.
And where are we on this now? I mean, it would look like he doesn't know what he's talking about from somebody from this viewpoint.
I think probably the terms communism and that probably could be changed a little bit, put something else in there for that. The policies haven't really changed coming out of there.
It's still a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Still a dictatorship, but is it really run on policy of liberty, equality, and fraternity?
No, I don't think so, and that's why that there's problems there, like in Ukraine, and you know they want that to change, and I think we'll see that happen in Russia. There was a lot of, in fact, that was a lot of the reason that it broke down was because of the uprising of the people in Russia, and I think they've got a better deal now than what they had, but there's still problems there. The détente he's talking about is still going on. You know, Russia's still playing host to the games, and they got an upcoming big nation. You know,
He said that might be sabotaged.
That may be sabotaged again, and why? Well, because of the frog-like spirits operating.
I think what's really happened, like I've read a few articles on modern Russia, and there's lip service given to these principles, but when they conflict with the power of the state, then of course they step in, but they are allowing, especially Catholicism is prospering now.
Yeah.
And
business is prospering there too, but it's really going ahead.
There's many millionaires in Russia, very rich, but there's also still a lot of poor people that still have the pig in the backyard and not much else.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is that Putin is trying to run a balancing act. He's trying to placate the people while still expand his power base. And it's interesting that the president of France spoke out against this Ukrainian situation, and also Germany's Prime Minister Merkel spoke out in favor of Israel at one point. Now, whether that'll play out that way, but it's still that idea that people should have the freedom to self-determine.
Yeah.
That's underneath fermenting, and they're trying to keep a lid on it.
Just like you saw in the French Revolution, there's a lot of back and forth
Posturing.
interaction.
Yeah.
And posturing is a good word, and I think this is what's happening largely here in a larger scale. There's a lot of this, and what's driving it is the democratic spirit. Really, is what's behind it all. It's what's behind what's taking place in Egypt and Libya, and we've seen that so active in the last few years.
I was thinking the Catholic Church, the Greek Catholics, you see, Putin, he goes to the Greek Catholic Church, and yet they seem to be kind of trying to collaborate with the Pope, which years ago they wouldn't do. But now they seem to, I'm just wondering, because when you speak to people, I find that a lot of the Greek Catholics call themselves Protestants.
They would be, in the sense of the term, they'd be protesting against the...
Yeah, against the Pope.
Yeah, against the
You see
station.
it, and the Catholic Church is not bowed to the Pope yet, but they seem as though that some will and some won't.
And England's going to be.
Yeah.
So
Yes, England is the same, you see, they won't bow to the Pope.
Yeah.
And it's kind of underneath even politics.
But, yes, there is the ecclesiastical part of that, which plays out on its own field, as it were, and then there's the political aspect of it, and the political policies of the Vatican are what probably is creating more, there's more of a détente going on there between the Russians and Germans and the Pope on a little more of a political level than an ecclesiastical.
You see, the South America is in a turmoil, and they're definitely Roman Catholic.
Yeah. But they may be Roman Catholic in their religion, but not necessarily agree on the political scale. Because we have to remember, the Roman Catholic Church, yes, that's the Roman Catholic religion, but there's also the Roman Catholic state, or the Vatican state, and they've got their political policies.
Yeah.
And that's what's,
Well,
you've got to make that separation.
it seems as though the Greek Catholic is not. I'm thinking that the Greek Catholic comes more under the beast.
Yeah. See, there's no other church that you could call a state church system. That's only the Roman Catholic system that can be called that. There's no other religion or church that can be called a state church system or a political power in its own right. It's only the Roman Catholic.
Yeah, and the Greek Catholic kind of comes from the dragon power.
Mm-hmm. Jordan?
I think what we have to remember in all these discussions is we're at the feet of iron and clay, and they do not mix.
Right.
So what we've got is basically a mess, and it's a balance of power, and there's, like we were talking, posturing and the different back and forth, because it's not working.
We don't want to look for any cohesion here. No. There is no cohesion.
It's not going to work. It symbolizes the zenith of man's power at its final conclusion, which is the absolute opposite of the head of gold, which was a very good, very superior and strong system.
Very good political integrity.
Right. It might not have been very humanly speaking, very good, but the power was very...
It had control of its empire.
Yeah, it was very well run. But what we've got is a mess that's left after 6,000 years of man's attempts at ruling himself, which is going to bring the whole thing...
Extremely fragmented.
To nothing.
Yeah. It's the head. You see the head extremely fragmented, at the base.
Yeah. It'll bring down the whole works.
Yeah.
And show exactly what man's wisdom has produced.
Yeah. No, that's good comment. Good to keep in mind. So we go to the section, and this is just kind of an opening or an introduction. It's called Three Unclean Spirits, and we'll get into the details of it much more later. Paragraph 1 talks about the mouth is a symbol of government, and it also covers the dragon symbol, and that indicates Eastern Rome, Constantinople. Paragraph 2 talks about the mouth of the beast, or the mouth of the beast, and that signifies the government of the Holy Roman Empire. And paragraph 3 talks about the mouth of the false prophet, and that speaks to us of the government or the political framework of the state church system, or Rome, Vatican. And Paragraph 4 speaks about the three influences that go forth, the three frog-like spirits, one from each center of government. Paragraph 5 talks about the devils, demons being, and they're like political officials. They're the sources of the three influences that go forth. Paragraph 6 is the Greek concept of demons. Their conception of them was that they were intelligent intermediaries between God and man. Paragraph 7 talks about this Greek concept of demons providing a convenient basis for this symbol. So, paragraph 1, and here we have Brother Thomas's translation of this verse, and it is a little bit different. It's good to take note where it's different. And actually, it's maybe good we'll just take it here side by side. This is his translation here, and you have the King James on the left-hand side there. He says, "And I saw out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, three unclean spirits like to frogs. For they are the spirits of demons working wonders. Go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole habitable, to gather them together for the war of that great day of the deity who is almighty." So, not a lot of difference, but just some subtle differences there that probably play into the narrative a little better. It says a mouth is apocalyptically a symbol of government, through which the political organization of which it is the executive gives expression to its policy. In this remarkable text, three such mouths are indicated. First, the mouth of the dragon polity; second, the mouth of the beast polity; and third, the mouth of the false prophet polity. The mouth of the dragon is termed in chapter 12, verse 15, the mouth of the serpent. And in verse 16, the mouth of the dragon. One and the same mouth, because the serpent and dragon indicate the same polity, which is sin, imperially manifested in the flesh, the symbolical devil and Satan, and enthroned in Constantinople. Let's look up those two passages there. The mouth of the dragon is termed chapter 12:15, and the serpent cast out of his mouth water as the flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. So there is the serpent, and that's in verse 16. That same mouth is termed the dragon. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So, verse 15, it was the serpent that cast out of his mouth, and verse 16 is the dragon that cast out of his mouth. Same one. Same incident, same beast. That's what he's referring to. So, in summary of that paragraph, and the summary is almost as long as the paragraph, I guess, but the mouth symbol is used in the symbology to indicate that which gives expression to policy, as the Vatican gives expression to the policy of the political organization of the Roman Catholic Church. Similar applications can be made to countries and their respective mouths, the governments with the government representatives or executives or officials, which give expression to or carry out the policies of the country. The dragon was a symbol of the military or Eastern Roman Empire headquartered at Constantinople, which gave strength to the policies emanating from Rome. In latter times, this speaks to us of the democratic influence permeating the military policy of the King of the North. You wanted to bring it down to a short phrase. It's the military. It's a democratic spirit working in the military part of the wing of it.
That's one thing. That those particular parts of the country where there was communism, there's heavy amounts of money go to armaments and armies and,
Yes.
you know, not so much to the people. The people can start, but they've got things, they've got done this, or they've got done people.
Yeah, the army plays a big part in it, and that's kind of what this is talking about. It's just that which gives power to the power, and power to the country, to the organization.
Russia's very heavily armed now. They have
Yes.
quite a navy.
Yeah.
That's why they want to hang on to Crimea.
Yeah.
With access to the Mediterranean, is what it is.
Sure.
Now, the mouth of the beast is like saying the government of the Holy Roman Empire. The mouth of the beast is identical with the mouth of the beast of the earth, which speaks as a dragon, and which appears in chapter 17 as the imperial scarlet-colored supporter of the mother of harlots having an 8th head. So chapter 13 and 11, we'll just take a glance at there. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he spake, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And chapter 17 talks about the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7 and goeth into perdition. This mouth has been for a long time enthroned in Vienna. But in the days of Charlemagne, who founded the dominion, the seat of its secular dominion was all in Chapelle, at present included in Prussian territory, and which has would be today called Berlin. So in summary, the beast is a symbol of what developed into the Holy Roman Empire, with the Germanic Federation as its mouth for the speaking forth and administration of its doctrines and policies. For many years this was enthroned in Vienna, as I said, but has since shifted to Berlin and to a democratic administration. In latter times, this points to the policies emanating from Central Europe. The powerful and influential European community gain a huge and powerful political organization made up of many countries with Brussels as its capital. The ties to Rome are remarkable in that organization. Germany plays a huge part in that.
Interesting that Ukraine is the ancient Scythia.
Yeah, it's
They've always used the Prussians.
maybe just a brief moment here to go to it. There's a map here of this, how it all plays in. Now this little section here is a map of Ukraine, but kind of got it green here. There's the Ukraine, the outline of Ukraine superimposes over this map of Scythia and Parthia. And he quotes here from Ezekiel. We are told in Ezekiel 38 that Gog is of the land of Magog. Magog, we are told by ancient historians, were called Scythians by the Greeks. The map shows the territory of Scythia. You can see it mainly covers southern Russia. On the left we have superimposed modern Ukraine. You'll notice that the eastern half of Ukraine was part of ancient Scythia, or Magog. The eastern half would be this area here. And that's the part that, this would be the, down here, the Crimea, Crimea Peninsula. So that, that is, half of Ukraine is a part of ancient Scythia. And that's the part that is pro-Russian today.
Yeah, just was going to say that Ukrainian people are actually divided
Right.
within themselves because they're very pro-Russian, and especially down there in Crimea.
Yeah. That's it.
So when we look at that, Russia really doesn't have to have all of Ukraine, do they?
No. 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 And
They basically have.
they're in there to protect their people who are interested in them.
Yeah.
As long as they had that leader they had, they were right in there. And as soon as he got ousted, that's when the turmoil started because they didn't have the power in there.
Right.
Spread between the Prussians and the citizens.
That's exactly the pretext that Hitler used to invade Poland and
That is Prussia.
the other country he invaded to protect the German people that were in there.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's history repeating itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I guess your time is done.